You have joined the Titanic Lie, and I've made a lot of videos on this subject, and right now there's no stopping me. Hey, what I want to talk about in this is the ridiculous story of an iceberg striking the plates, the outer hull of a vessel and causing it to sink. It's utterly ridiculous. So let's join the documentary.
No, changed for dinner, and then returned to his stateroom for more work on his reports. He had hardly noticed the bump and knew nothing was wrong until the captain called him to the bridge. Things changed quickly. He and Captain Smith made an instant tour of the ship, hastily inspecting the damage below the waterline. She was taking water fast. The iceberg, scraping ruthlessly down the ship from the starboard bow, had cut a 300-foot gash in her side.
It was like this. The Titanic had 16 watertight compartments running from side to side down the length of the ship. She could float with 2, 3, or even all of her first 4 compartments gone. But the gash down the side...
Okay, so they're saying because it bumped an ice cube, it cut a gash in the steel plate, the outer plate of the hull of the ship. It bumped some ice. Now, it's ridiculous that even if there was such a thing as an iceberg and it bumps the ship, it's not going to make a gash, a big hole, like a can opener. It's just going to go boop and sort of bounce right off it because it's ice. And that's steel. Now use your head. What's stronger, ice or steel? And they're going to give you a whole bunch of other malarkey. So that's the first bit of malarkey. That ice is going to cut a gash in the steel hull of the ship.
It's fine for flooding.
If Lookout Fleet had seen the iceberg a few seconds earlier, the Titanic would have swung around. If he had not seen it at all, they would have hit it full on and perhaps have crumpled the bows. The slight glancing blow was far more deadly, slicing open 5 in a stroke.
Okay, now, how big is this iceberg? This little postcard or whatever it is going to estimate it 50 to 100 feet high. It's like a mountain. Now, is there such a thing as an iceberg? Not really. There are icebergs in people's heads because they've been told that's what wrecked the Titanic. Remember, the Titanic is phantom, a ghost ship. It doesn't exist. And neither does the iceberg that causes it to sink. Now, I'm not denying that there is some floating ice in the waters. I'm not denying that. But nothing along the lines of a floating mountain. It's ridiculous. It's idiotic. And then to say that you only see 1/10 of it, 9/10 of it is submerged. Well, eventually ice submerged becomes liquid because it adapts and takes on the temperature of the water and it will melt. However, in the minds of people, there's a big floating mountain of ice. And even if it did exist, and it bumped a steel hull, it wouldn't cut a gash in it and cause it to take on water. It's ridiculous.
Between the 5th and 6th watertight compartments only went as high as E deck, and as the Titanic went down at the head, the water would rise and spill over into the next compartment, and then the next, and the next.
It was inevitable that the Titanic would sink.
You're not going to listen to this trance. By the way, I think that's Walter Lord, the author of A Night to Remember. I tried to expose that fake a while back. But let's talk a little bit about Iceberg. And they'll say in another video that the source of the iceberg is Greenland. Greenland doesn't exist. Therefore, the iceberg doesn't exist. Well, the bigger journey was not the Titanic. The bigger journey was the iceberg. 5,000 miles, according to the fake location of Greenland. And Greenland doesn't exist. If you think it exists, schedule an air flight and go there. Send me a postcard. Drop me a line. Make sure I get the official stamp from Greenland. Send me some fake photographs. Greenland is fake like the iceberg itself. So the bigger journey was the iceberg floating down from Greenland. And the bigger lie was a chunk of ice can break open. Steel-plated hull on a ship. So anyhow, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. End of video.
Was far more deadly, slicing